Face to Face, live on TraxxFM with your host, Philomena Pergaso.
Good evening and welcome to Face to Face. Here with me, Philomena Pergaso, in the studios of TraxxFM. And today we're talking about smart water consumption. And in the studios we have with us Ms. Yasmin Rasyid, chairperson of Malaysian Environmental Non-Governmental Organisation, or MANGO. And also Mr. Amlir Ayat from the Malaysian Water Partnership and Eco-Consultant. Talking about water consumption by Malaysians and how savvy are Malaysians when it comes to water management and actually saving water. Are we as developed as we think we are? If you're interested to give your opinion on this program called Face to Face, do give us a tinkle at 2282-5491 or 2282-4746. Okay, welcome Ms. Yasmin Rasyid, chairperson of Malaysian Environmental Non-Governmental Organizations.
Hi, good evening.
MANGO. Good evening. Good to have you. And also Amlir Ayat. You are from the Malaysian Water Partnership and also an Eco-Consultant.
Yep.
Two people who are very, very passionate about the environment. And we're going to talk about smart water consumption. Let's look at Malaysia, a country which is simply blessed with a lot of rainfall, beautiful water resources as well. But how good are we with water? Do we have water to go around for the next few centuries, let's say? Yes, Amlir.
Yes, thank you, fellow. Yes, I think we do have enough water. In fact, more than we need. So the problem lies on how we use water. I mean, if we do not use water sustainably, no matter how much water we have, it's not going to be enough. For example, we take a look at Tokyo in Japan. It has about 29 million people, and they have only 1,500 millimeters of water per year.
Rainfall.
Of rain, yes, of rain per year. And in Adelaide, if I'm not mistaken, it's only about 540 or 550 millimeters per year. But they don't have any water crisis like we do. And in Malaysia, we have 3,000 millimeters of water per year.
3,000?
3,000.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's twice the number of amount of water, of rainfall in Tokyo. So what is the problem? I think the problem lies on how we use water, how we manage it. So this is something that we have to focus. And of course, at schools, I believe that there should be more stress, more emphasis on smart water consumption, how we should use water.
So it goes back, Amlir, to the people, to us who are tuning into the program, to Malaysians, as to how we manage our water, so forth. And Yasmin, Ms. Yasmin, you're from MANGO, which is the environmental organizations, and I guess the environmental organizations like MANGO, for instance, you encompass every environmental organization.
Yes, we're a coalition.
Yeah, a coalition. And when you talk about smart water consumption, do you all have such education programs for young people, perhaps, or for anybody who's interested in water conservation?
Well, just a bit of background. MANGO is a national coalition of various environmental NGOs. So we have about 26 members right now. And I think about 20 to 35% of our NGO members have specific programs focusing on water. Some are in urban areas, some in rural areas, and we also have NGOs that are working on policy matters related to better water management or integrated water management. So anyone in the public who would like to know more about what we do, definitely just go to mango.org and you would actually be able to view our members that are actually championing water conservation in the country.
So you said there are 26 organizations under MANGO, and how many are actually championing water?
I would say about 5 to 6. There are some organizations like Water Watch Penang, which is very specific. They only work on water issues. And they also, like Water Watch Penang, I think it's a very exemplary NGO based in Penang. They work very closely with the Penang state government and also with their water supplier up north. Who are they called?
I think it's PBAB or PAB.
PBAS, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, many of the localized policies on water management Penang, like the rates, the tariffs, and rainwater harvesting systems, are all done very integratedly with government agencies. And I think that's why Penang, I feel, is quite forward in terms of how it addresses water.
Okay, thank you. So that's an example of a state which is actually doing something. And yes, so we have kind of water watch, you said. That's a very interesting term, to actually watch what happens, because I think water is the most important resource, because you can't live without water.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
absolutely. And how aware are we as Malaysians when we come to that? Amlir, you were saying that Malaysians are not too smart in water consumption. You need to be educated. And look at Tokyo. You have so many millions of people there, and with so
almost
little.
the same amount as Malaysians.
Okay.
Yeah, and
we're
they
talking
have
about-
half of amount of water.
Yep,
in
half the
Malaysia.
amount of water, and yet they don't have a crisis. There's no rationing, perhaps, but basically it goes back to attitude,
Yes.
right? So if you've just joined us, you're with me, Philomena Pragasam, here on Face to Face. We're talking about smart water consumption. So if you're thinking, this is not connected with me, I've got enough water coming out of the taps, think again, because it can become a depleting resource if we do not give it enough impetus. And in the studios, we have Yasmin, Rasyid, chairperson of Mango, and also Encik Amlir Ayat, Malaysian Water Partnership and Eco Consultant. You can call us at 2282-5491 or 2282-4746. Okay, let's look at smart water consumption and how and what can we do as a Malaysian, to actually save water. Let's look at the dams in Malaysia. A while ago, we were speaking and saying that, okay, this particular dam caters for this particular area. All right. So although we have so much of water here, it cannot be channeled to another district.
Yes.
Yes, Amlir, would you
Yes.
like to elaborate?
This is one of the issues that is a major challenge to us. You may say that, we have enough, you may have a lot of water, but at the same time, people are wondering, why do we have water rationing in one place and flooding in another? Now, that is because one of the reasons is because some of the dams are built to cater certain number of population, and some other dams which are located maybe in another district might not receive enough water to cater for that population. The other dam might have enough water just to cater for that population. So you may have a population which are in water stress, even though they have a dam, but the other population may have excess of water because the number of rivers coming into that river may be a lot, and they may have a lot of rain in that area. As you know,
So it wasn't a far-sighted project. It wasn't looking and taking into consideration the population of that area.
Yeah, sometimes we cannot predict. This is the problem with some of our development plans. We do not carefully predict the number of population and the kind of urbanization
That can take
that
place.
can take
so the
place.
projection was not there.
Yes.
In other words,
Sometimes we do have local structure plans or local plans, but I'm sad to say that some of these plans are not sufficiently complied by the developers, and at the same time you may have any other incompliances which cannot be monitored or enforced upon.
Okay, and we're talking about a developed nation such as Malaysia, and we're moving forward to encourage and to educate people about smart water consumption and taking care of their water resources as well. Okay, so there we have a problem of not enough projection. But what about people themselves? How do you find Malaysians' attitude towards saving water, for instance? We'll move on to the topic of rainwater harvesting in a while. But first, how are Malaysians towards this? Do you find them to be wasteful based on some studies by your Malaysian Water Partnership? You're an eco consultant as well. So what do you see?
Okay, if we look at the WHO, the World Health Organization standards, a person could survive with about 200 to 250 liter of water per day, or what we say per capita, per person per day. Now in Malaysia, the latest statistics is about 300 to 350 liters per day. That is like 100 liters more, and this is one of the reasons why we are having insufficient water, because we use too much. So in some urban areas, when you have too much water being consumed, that means the other population may not be able to use the water from the same dam. So this
So
is
it's like overuse that you're talking about, or uncontrolled
yes,
usage of water.
overuse, yes, wasteful
So
consumption.
this is wasteful.
Yes, this is wasteful.
Absolutely.
And another thing is the NRW, or the non-revenue water. Non-revenue water refers to the situation where the water is stolen or is leaked out of the pipes before it reach the end users. And the statistic for Malaysia is about, for let's say for Lembah Klang, for Klang Valley, is about 30%.
Are you talking about illegal?
It could be illegal, yeah. Some people, they steal the water from the pipes before it reaches
water
the end users.
siphoning to somewhere else, perhaps? Yep.
Sometimes unintentional leakages. So what happens is that means that if you have 1 million liters of water sent to one area, about 300,000 liters water is lost on the way.
Okay,
So
on the
then
way
it's
to
run.
wherever, the destination.
Yes.
Okay, that's a pretty interesting data there. Okay, and let's go to Ms. Yasmin. As an NGO with 5 organizations which are actually doing water watch and focusing on saving water, safe water management, and so forth. Yeah, what is your take on Malaysians? What would you say? You know, we are discussing today about Malaysians' attitude towards water consumption.
I think it's two-pronged. I mean, I can't agree more that we are quite a wasteful society, not just water, but in other areas as well. And also, I think the attitude comes with this whole shift towards development. I think in terms of economic income level and all that, as we are able to afford more things, we kind of have left the mentality that we need to conserve because we just don't want to be wasteful. So it's actually probably a side effect of being a developed country, or on the way to becoming a developed country, when money somehow is not an issue anymore, and you can afford to waste extra 10 ringgit on water. Or in the case of Selangor, you know, you don't pay the first 20 meter cubic. So it's like, okay, I have 20 meter cubic free of water to use. And when you think of if Mother Nature had to give us a bill, I don't think she'll give us an empty bill. I'm sure she'll charge us something for the function of trees or soil, because she does a good job at filtering it for us. That's one aspect. And number two, I think it's also from the policy advocacy issue. If you look at the way water is managed here, it's mainly done addressed in terms of services, provision, treatment. There's really no one overlapping policy that actually talks about protection of a watershed, for instance, to ensure that we get clean water.
Yes.
So we have the Water Services Act 2006, right, which basically just talks about which concessionaire is able to treat the water and provide the water. But, you know, I understand it rains a lot here, but one key point which I think the media and the public fail countless time to understand is source of water is very dependent on the state of our forest.
And so we're talking about deforestation. Very interesting point there that you said. State of water depends on the forest.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're talking about a depleting or deforestation that's taking place.
Right.
So how controlled are we? How is it also a case of non-projection about what's going to happen in the future?
Actually, I would think it's uncontrollable, because 15 years ago, you don't see the need to spend on water filtration system. And I had to save up money to buy one, because if I open just my tap, you're not getting clean water. You know that for sure. And there's some scent to it as well. And I remember growing up in a small town of Ipoh, and my grandfather was a doctor, and we would just be drinking off from the tap.
Yeah.
It was the most delicious sparkling water.
You're coming from Ipoh.
Ipoh
water is supposed to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, but even now, most Ipoh homes also would have a filter system, because the treatment plants are probably not equipped or capable to treat the water of the right quality to be delivered to us. And at the end of the day, consumers have to pay.
Yeah.
We're paying a lot more. We're paying not just treated water, we're also paying for filtration systems.
Yeah, it could be also because
we're doing all sorts of things. Actually, if you look at any Malaysian home for that matter, 1 out of 10, they would have some kind of filtering device.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it necessary to do that?
Well,
Okay,
actually-
we're going to come back to that in just a while. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, do give us a call at 22825491, 22824746. Philomena Pragasam here with Yasmin, Rasyid from Mango, and also Inchi Amlir Ayat, Malaysian. You're listening to Maroon 5 there and Animals here on Face to Face with me, Philomena Pragasam. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. I'm Rama.
Hi, Mr. Rama. You're with us on Face to Face, and I've got two guests in the studio. We're talking about smart water consumption. What's your question?
My question is, I know, because I have in my area there's a water reservoir, a 300,000 liter reservoir, which can supply for the whole area even without the incoming supply for about 2 days.
Okay.
Nowadays, what happens is within 8 hours that reservoir becomes empty.
Mm-hmm. How do you know the reservoir is becoming empty?
That's a meter there.
I see. Okay. Okay.
I make observation on all this.
Very good. Okay.
So what happens is, so every time I know when the meter drops down, I know there's no incoming water. But what I know is, a lot of these other housing areas, all by the sides and development and all the things, they have got their own reservoirs. But the water supply is tapped from this reservoir. Illegally doing legal connections.
Okay. All right. I think we got your question there. Getting on to illegal connections. They're very interesting. We were talking about water siphoning earlier, and here you have a actual problem. What should one do if they find that such a thing is happening? Cik Amlir?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rama from Sri Kembangan. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think it's something which is quite rampant in Malaysia. Where
So
you
it's
have
not a
illegal
hypothetical situation.
No, it's not hypothetical. Like I said, you have this 30% NRW or the non-revenue water, which got lost along the way before it reaches the consumer. And this is one of the cases of the things that I was talking about. So normally, the procedure is that Mr. Rama should call Shabas and explain the problem to them so that they can take the proper action.
And
this is
show the
something,
meter, take some pictures or whatever.
yes,
as
whatever.
evidence.
And I think, as far as I know, Shabas is quite efficient in taking taking actions. So that is one thing that he should do.
Okay, there you go. And we were supposed to have a representative from Shabazz, but they couldn't make it today. But nevertheless, we're talking about smart water consumption. And a while ago, we were actually touching on the aspect of Malaysians are good enough to fix filters for their homes, but are they smart enough in consuming water in a careful manner so that it lasts them for a long time? Yes, we go on to Ms. Yasmin, Rasyid at Mango. The water filter, really important.
Well, the water filter is important because we want to make sure we are confident enough on drinking good water, quality water.
Not like what you drank from the taps many years ago.
Many years, yeah. And I mean, I resisted buying a water filter for a long time until it got to a point where I had massive amount of silt in my water tank on the rooftop. And if I store the water, even if I boil it and put it in a glass container, you can see sedimentation right at the bottom, and that's not healthy. You cannot be drinking sediments inside your body. So, like it or not, and like many consumers out there, I think we are forced to embrace this new wave of just making sure we have water filter because we need to make sure the family is taken care of. But another part that I think that we're not addressing is the usage patterns that we have at home. I was just sharing with you just now, like these days you don't see people really sweeping the porches. You see them watering the porches so that, they water the dirt out. And I think that's easily at least 50 to 100 liters just like that, an act of cleaning the porch. People may be a bit complacent and maybe don't want to sweep, but think that spraying water is a way of cleaning the porch.
What's your advice to people? Are you saying that lots of Malaysians are actually using good water to sort of unnecessarily washing the porches or even watering the garden for that matter? What other options do they have, Amlir?
I think one of we have to remember that the water that we get from the water supply is actually potable water. If it once it leaves the water treatment plants, it's very clean. You can drink it. But what happens along the way is something that may be of questions. Sometimes they might be the pipes themselves.
So it's questionable
might be rusty.
what might happen along the way.
The pipes might be rusty, and you may have leakages which allow sedimentation, like what Yasmin said just now, may get into water.
Okay, that's
So-
about filtering.
Yeah.
But what about Malaysians and using water? Yasmin brought out a very interesting issue here that we Malaysians tend to just spray water as we like.
Yes.
Because it's coming
So-
out, taps are never running dry unless there's some kind
And
of...
it's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap.
And it's cheap, yeah.
So the water is actually drinkable water. So we should not use this water by right for secondary purposes. Secondary purposes meaning like
Washing your porch or-
lawns, your porch
Gardening.
gardening, washing your cars. That is something that you can actually theoretically can drink. So what we suggest is that to find other ways or other options to use other sources of water for the secondary purposes.
Okay, let's get on the topic of rainwater harvesting. We talked about rainwater harvesting. Very interesting concept there. But what about how do you do? Do you just collect water on an open area, or is there a
But that was
technology?
the old school days. That was
Yeah.
the days when my grandmother. I remember we lived in a kampong, and every time it rained, she got all her grandchildren and make sure we all go out with a bucket
Yeah.
and collect that water, because she will use that to either for anything but for drinking purposes. Nowadays, I guess with the existence of technology and so forth, we've kind of commercialized and glamorized this whole concept of rainwater harvesting. But I think as a concept, it has existed
For a long
Years
time.
centuries ago.
Yes.
People have always, rainwater is actually a blessing. It actually provides alternative rather than going to a river or depending on pipe water. So we've seen an increase in the public, for instance, now doing a little bit more rainwater harvesting at homes. And you've seen a lot of the big buildings, especially buildings that are certified green these days, they must have a rainwater harvesting system already as part of their building.
Brilliant, isn't it? And it's also a methodology to actually curb floods.
Yes.
Because they're
Yes.
having
It's a-
so
it's a-
much
it's a
of
double
concrete.
strong
Yeah.
purpose actually. That's
I mean,
what actually the government is.
If every
proposing.
single building in KL right now, including small or big buildings, actually have an efficient rainwater harvesting system, then you're actually capturing all this excess rain that will otherwise
Cause
go
a
into
flash flood.
shallow
Yes.
drains that will end up on the streets
you
anyway.
hit the nail, Philo. That's one
Flash
of
floods.
the other reason. Flash floods. To reduce
I would
flash floods.
really advocate for this. You know, you just said about buildings in the city, for
How
instance.
about Angkasapuri? Angkasapuri has a big roof. You can collect a lot of water.
You can make many swimming pools from
Absolutely.
Angkasapuri. Yeah.
Many swimming pools.
Many swimming pools. I mean,
Yes.
if you look at because the ones that are really well built in some housing areas are underwater catchment areas where you can actually have water fall on the soil and it's captured right underneath and it can be pumped up to use again.
Correct.
So this area Angkasapuri is perfect for capturing a huge amount
Yeah.
of rain.
Yeah.
Brilliant, beautiful.
And you can save actually about 30%. I think Yasmin has been involved in the practical on the ground installation of rainwater harvesting, and she keeps track of the generally
Yeah.
the costing or the saving which has been involved.
Yeah.
You know?
Very interesting, Yasmin. Tell me about this rainwater harvesting. How many businesses or people or entities are actually involved in this? What percent of Malaysian, what do you call that? You said green technology, people who are green tech savvy are into this now.
Not enough. I don't have a right figure, but I think it's water harvesting system is a very simple technology that does not cost a lot of money. Of course, if you want it to be super high tech, you can. I have one at home, which is really just about identifying which gutter system collects the most amount of rain, because I see this rainwater just flowing to my drain every time. So I just fix the gutter system, put a big container there, fix a pipe, and now I water my garden with rainwater. I probably save maybe 5-10%. I mean, because I didn't move into the house with a rainwater harvesting thing, I kind of retrofitted my house
Are
with it.
such technology technology available for instance?
Yes,
for
I
rainwater harvesting?
YouTubed
Yeah.
it and I learned how to do it myself.
Okay, so you are a DIY girl.
Because I don't believe, technology is good today, but there are a lot of green technology that really is about common sense and really about making yourself useful by becoming creative. And there are a lot of things you can do DIY at a fraction of a cost. So while I advocate for rainwater harvesting systems for users, I don't advocate the need to spend 20,000 ringgit on a harvesting system unless you want to feel good about it yourself. But for under 1,000 ringgit or even 500 ringgit, you can easily construct one at home that requires no pump, that works on gravity, and I have it at home. And the 3 homes that we just did recently, is now saving 30% from using pipe water.
Yes.
So that
Very interesting there, and I think something that's pretty easy to do as well, and you're actually cutting your costs where water is concerned. But tell me, when it comes to water bills, how blessed are we as Malaysians? Are we the highest paying or the lowest paying,
Lowest paying.
bills when it comes to water?
lowest paying. Just
Lowest
look at
paying.
Singapore. Just a simple. Let's look at our neighbor. I think an average Singaporean pays more for water than any other utility bill. That's why they are more. I think when it hits your pocket, right, you then become
to think.
aware of, like, every time you flush or every time you brush your teeth with that
Tap
tap water running, it hurts you because you have to pay for every single
Yes.
cent of it.
Correct.
Absolutely. Very interesting there. And we are talking to Yasmin, Rasyid from Mango, and also Amlir, Ayat, Malaysian Water Partnership here on our program, Face to Face.
Face to Face, live on TraxxFM with your host, Philomena Pergasa.
Okay, if you'd like to share and ask us any questions at all about water conservation, what you can do, call us at 2282-5491 or 2282-4746. You can also log on to TraxxFM official and post whatever questions you have for our guests in the studio, or even your comments on what you think about Malaysians and safe water consumption. Or rather, smart water consumption. We are all worried about the safe bit because we get very individualistic, but when it comes to smart water consumption, I think that's a big thing, because how smart are we as Malaysians in really taking care not to waste water? All right, so do you as an NGO have education plans, for instance, in schools? Yes, man, do you go out to schools? Do you educate the young? Because every change can happen with the young.
Yeah, we have a program called Anugerah Hijau, which is actually run by one of our partners called EcoKnights. And they actually work with the Ministry of Education. What they do is actually provide free educational opportunities and workshops for kids outside Klang Valley. And I believe this year, I just saw the report, they have reached out to about 9,000 over kids in about 8 states. Of course, I think, is it a massive impact? I'm not sure, but education is something. It's lifelong. You think you've educated a 12-year-old today and you're done with it, but it doesn't work that way. Education has to be always reinforced and continuous. So some of these NGOs have been doing relentlessly for maybe a decade or so. And I'm just, I really hope that in the next, when they start growing up to be teenagers and youth and users and eventually paying their water bills, some part of these education activities actually resonates inside their mind and leaves an impact.
I hope so too. And when we talk about water, one of the interesting things I noticed is, do we have like a what do you call this? You have an index, like how long does your water in Malaysia going to last? All right, I know I'm touching on difficult grounds, but do we have such a measurement? Perhaps because we are blind to this. We don't know. We take it for granted that if I open my taps today, I'm going to get the water. And somehow, even if they're doing some amount of rationing, the water's going to come back tomorrow. Or somebody's going to send a lorry with some water or something like that. So it's always there that it's there. So do we have like some kind of warning system, some kind of measurement, a tool to tell us?
Of course, during during dry seasons, we do have warnings from the authorities with regards to water rationing and whatnot. So basically, we are, as far as that is concerned, we can be properly informed during the right times. With regards to the question whether we have enough water, actually we have more than enough in Malaysia. Like I said, Tokyo has 29
When
million
you say
people.
more than enough, are you saying despite the fact that we have had deforestation, despite the fact that we have massive development, we're still having some sort of water resource? What would you say is our main water resource?
Our main water resources are the surface runoff, mainly the rivers, except for Kelantan. Kelantan, a lot of the portion of water comes from the groundwater. And over there, that is not a big problem because groundwater is very clean in Kelantan, not much development, which can affect the quality of the groundwater. But on the west coast of Malaysia, and even some east coast countries, east coast states, we have a lot of surface runoff going to our dams. So, and I would say that even at this rate, we have enough water. The problem is that, like I said before, the way we use water. Okay, some areas, the people might use so much water and forget that they are using the same dam with other people that may have in the future problems with water. We cannot ration water every day, but because of this certain number of population which use too much water, they are affecting the whole catchment of the dam. This is the problem. We need to be in the education system. I think there need to be a stress on the fact that we are sharing this water. It's not like the water belongs to you. It belongs to everybody. This is the problem. Like I said, you have people in Malaysia using 300 to 350 liters of water per day, and they take it for granted that we have enough water.
Okay.
This is something that everybody should know, that there are possibilities of water being rationed. Yeah.
Okay, and wonderful there. And we have a caller actually on the line, Mr. Jimmy from Subang Jaya. Hello, Jimmy. Good evening. Hello. Jimmy, good evening. Okay, hello. Hi, yes, Mr. Jimmy, you are with us on Face to Face. Philomena Pragasam here. What's your question for our guests in the studio, Yasmin, Rasyid, and Amlir, Ayat?
Yeah, so my question is, as a science teacher, how do we reach out to all these NGOs that deals with water conservation to help us teaching the topic of water in school?
Very interesting that. We'll get back to you. So how do you actually reach out
Hi,
to
Jimmy.
kids?
Thank you so much. And I totally think being a science teacher really rocks and is really cool. You can always contact me, Yasmin, at mango.org, or log on to mango.org and just send us a quick email. We've had these kind of questions come to us many, many times, and we actually have worked very beautifully with many schools, and bringing the kids out to learn about where water comes from, learning about simple things and simple fun water ranger programs for your school, so that kids are being given a bigger role or responsibility, a lot of role playing as well. So I really welcome for you to contact us directly, or send an email to admin admin at mango.org, and I will make sure I personally get back to you, because I think school children is one target audience that we absolutely love working with, because they're so creative, so innovative, and definitely more enthusiastic than a 40-year-old adult.
And they are our future leaders.
Absolutely.
If they can understand the issue,
yes,
then they can improve our nation in the future in terms
I
of water.
totally agree with you. I used to be a children's program producer, and Mango people are spelled as MENGO.
Yeah,
Yes.
MENGO,
Yeah.
not the fruit.
So, okay, so if you have a question, do call us. And it's very interesting. You can also get on at TraxxFM official and post your comments there or your questions. Okay, and we were talking about educating Malaysians, which is actually a lifelong process, like you mentioned, Yasmin. And Amlir, you were saying that it calls for more water management, better water management. We have enough water in Malaysia. You would not, there's no prediction as to when it's going to end or what our resource is like. Okay, and we have a question from Susan from Ipoh, and she says, can we use water from washing machines to actually flush toilets?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay, here's a lady who actually has come up with something.
That's great.
Yes.
She should
I've seen
do
many
that.
homes that do
Yes.
that, actually.
Yes. No problem. Because every time we flush, we are throwing about
Clean
6
water.
liters of water from the public water supply. which
And
can
probably
actually
this water can
drink.
be used for washing the porch as well.
Exactly.
Yes, of course.
I remember there was a joke on
Yes.
Facebook, like if you bring someone from a water-starved country to a Malaysian toilet, they would probably drink from the bowl, because they won't understand why we're flushing down drinkable
Good water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're making us all feel guilty. After I spoke to Amlir about rainwater harvesting, I went back home a very guilty person. Okay, and we hope to create that kind of change here in
At least you
Malaysian.
feel guilty, you know.
Well, I've got a conscience.
What about the 99% of Malaysians?
Well, that's why we're doing another topic about water, and this topic can go on because,
Of course.
we can't live without water. We can live with food, not without food, perhaps for a day or two.
You want to cook, you need water.
But can I share one thing, Philo?
Yeah.
When this water crisis happened in 2014, the news about this prediction was published in 2009.
Absolutely.
And we had 5 years to think about what would happen in 2014. And the bells were already ringing that, at least for the state of Selangor, it's going to be a water-starved state. But nothing was done in that 5 years. In fact, I think we probably used more, and we had that 20 meter cubic free there and then. So, one is management, one is education. But number two, where is the vision for this country in terms of looking at water resources? Like, if you look at Tokyo and you ask any government officer there, or maybe this information is probably off their website, they can tell you that Tokyo has enough water right now in reservoir to last for another 25 years. Singapore may say we have enough water now to last for another 16 years. They know.
The prediction is
They
yes.
know. We don't.
There need to be a vision.
So we are blind, and so we don't have the vision. Okay, and this is scary. So we're just using and using without knowing
how much can we
how
use?
much
what's
can we
happening?
use.
We don't
And-
see the future yet, though.
Okay, so it's a matter of actually questioning and being more consumer savvy, because if there's no water, I think this big crisis that took place this year
Oh,
was
yeah.
enough. I think beginning of this year when kids were going back to school and
50
so
hours
forth.
without water. I mean, that is unthinkable. I cannot survive.
Now, I'm a
50 hours
person who
without water.
takes at least two baths a day, and in without water it was like awful. And
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was actually did a program on
yourself.
water. No, yeah, it's just not yourself. I think we Malaysians are so used to it. So think about it, people. How can we just waste water? Think about rainwater management. Don't complain about the rain that's continuous this past few months. Perhaps it's a time for us to ponder and really think about rainwater harvesting and how we can actually consume our water wisely. I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Yasmin, Rasyid,
Thank
Chairperson, Malaysian Environmental
Thank you, Philo.
Non-Governmental
Thank you so much.
Organization, Mango, and also Amlir, Ayat. You people have really made us think. Malaysian Water Partnership and Eco Consultant. I really do hope there are more teachers like Jimmy out there.
I know, I think
Jimmy,
is
keep it up,
really
Jimmy.
cool. Please
I
call
will-
us.
Jimmy, I'll support you. Okay, we'll have you on national radio. Okay, and this is great because we want young people to be more savvy and not just take things for granted. And a lot of kids know that. In fact, they're the easiest to be trained. So
Yes.
teachers out there,
Easiest.
and this holidays, parents, I know you must be complaining the kids at home and all that, but think about safe
Think of a water project.
Yes, rainwater harvesting for the school holidays. Till the next time around, this is Philomena Pragasam signing off. Have a great week.